Rhymes of life.
Hey, what's good, y'all? I'm back with another tip for you, and I want to talk about plot. So, plot is one of the main drivers of your story, which is one of the most obvious things I can say. But plot is your storyline. It's how and when things happen and the order they happen in. Your plot doesn't have to have action movie type action, but what it does need is conflict, relatable characters, and passion. The elements of plot are the ones you've heard before in the old timeline: exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. This is a general idea of how plot should work, but it isn't a hard rule. You can start that story at any point on the timeline that you want. That's up to you. You can move those pieces around structurally to make your story more impactful and not tell it necessarily in a linear way. It doesn't have to work like that. Also, exposition is the way writers used to start a story with backstory and set everything up, set up the whole plot. But readers have changed so much since this was developed. Readers in most genres outside of literary fiction are a lot less forgiving to a slow start than they used to be. My suggestion is to start your story with an active scene and save your exposition for after you've hooked the reader in. So, rising action is the parts of your story in which the action builds to a climax. This is where you begin building suspense. The climax is obviously the big moment in your story when the characters are faced with their final challenge. The falling action is after the climax, and it's a time to begin wrapping up your story. And finally, the resolution hints at what life will be after the climax. Now, again, you don't have to follow this step by step. You can move these pieces and essentially look at this as one linear timeline. You can start your story at any point you want to and move those other pieces around to make it structurally sound. And it even gives it another element. If you think of the way that Quentin Tarantino does his movies, they are usually structurally or linearly out of order. And that can add a lot to a story. So play around with that. It's not some hard and fast rule that you have to stick to that. That's just kind of an old outline that gives you a guideline to go by, but please play around with that and find what you like to do. You can do some really creative and innovative things with that plot structure. I hope that helps, y'all. Be good.
Books, rhymes of life.